India would not develop in 2023 for highways. You should listen to you.
Everybody will, I think, so entertain and will welcome also. 2013
In 2013, 28,400 rupees were given to the road ministry, and in this year, thank you, thank you. But today, the same ministry, the road and transport ministry, has got
Of which the challenges for any country in making their budget is far more complicated now rather than ever before. Now, as far as the first advanced estimates from NSO have come in, India's economy is expected to grow by 6.4% in real terms and by 9.7% in nominal terms. So during the current financial year, this is the picture which we want to present before you. The inflation trends, particularly food inflation, appears to be moderating. Sir, the union budget for 25-26 has sought to address these immediate challenges facing the domestic economy in the global context. It also rolls out futuristic path for transforming India into Vikasit Bharat. So our main goals in this budget, our main budget, our main goals in this budget are to accelerate our growth, secure inclusive development, invigorate private sector investments, and uplift household sentiments. So, with a focus on Garib, youth, Annadata, and Nari, the budget likes to reveal new schemes and reforms in the following broad sectors: promotion of agriculture, MSMEs, investments, and exports as growth engines, and building rural prosperity and resilience. We also want to have employment-led development, spurring domestic consumption, and boosting manufacturing in India, including export promotion. Continuing public capital expenditure, sir, and rekindling the animal spirits in the private sector to step up investments. And most importantly, investing in people, investing in economy, and investing for innovation. These are actually the union budget. These are actually the points on which union budget is focusing, so that we balance the national development priorities with fiscal imperatives. So some of the budgetary outlays I want to highlight here, sir, so that it covers most of the concerns expressed by many of the members. The budget, first thing before I even utter the outlays for each of the schemes, I want to highlight one concept, if you want to say, effective capital expenditure. What is effective capital expenditure, sir, and why do we need to? I'm sure very many members of parliament will fully be aware of it, but for the records, I'd like to describe it for a minute. Effective capital expenditure includes core capital outlays and the grants in aid for creation of capital assets. Though the grants in aid for creation of capital assets, sir, is accounted in our budget, is accounted as revenue expenditure, they go for creating capital assets in the states. So we include them when we talk about effective capital expenditure. In the budget of this year, 25-26, the effective capital expenditure is projected at 15.48 lakh crores, as against 13.18 lakh crores in the RE of 24-25. So the effective capital expenditure in BE 25-26, sir, is about 4.3% of our GDP. That is only 0.1% of GDP lower than the fiscal deficit of this year, which is 4.4. This year meaning 25-26, which is 4.4% of the GDP. So the effective capital expenditure is 4.3% of GDP. Fiscal deficit, 4.4% of GDP. What does it indicate? It indicates that government is using almost the entire borrowed resources for financing effective capital expenditure. So the borrowings are not going for revenue expenditure or committed expenditure or any of those kinds. It's going only for creating capital assets. So in effect, government intends to use about 99% of borrowed resources to finance effective capital expenditure in the upcoming 25-26 year. I'll explain it, Professor, please. I've just begun, right? The sectoral outlays in the year 25-26 include agriculture and allied activities, which get 1.71 lakh crores, rural development, which gets 2.67 lakh crores, urban development and transport, 6.45 lakh crores, health and education, 2.27 lakh crores, defense, which excludes defense pension, 4.92 lakh crores. So I just want to highlight the fact, sir, that money is not being denied to any of the capital expenditure accounts, because I heard occasionally this argument being put forward saying, has the paradigm shifted from capital expenditure because that gives a greater multiplier effect to giving people, the taxpayers, some money in their hands for boosting consumption? No, these data from the current budget, which is before us, shows that capital expenditure outlays have not come down at all. On the contrary, they've gone up. So in this, most importantly, across all schemes, I want to highlight how transfers to the states, that is for the year 25-26, will be 25.01 lakh crores. Transfers to the states across all schemes. And I just want to go back to listing out how much after COVID the capital expenditure is increasing. At the same time, including tax devolution, finance commission grants, and funds for centrally sponsored schemes, 50-year interest-free that we give for the states, all put together, the transfer of resources to the states is growing by the year. 2020-21, sir, 13.44 lakh crores, which is an increase from the previous year, that is 2019-20, where it was 13.19 crores. 21-22, it rose to 13.40 lakh crores. It was 4,000 slightly less because of COVID-related issues, although we targeted a higher number. But in 22-23, it was 15.56 lakh crores, which is 2.16 lakh crores more than the previous years. And that is the year when we brought in the 50-year interest-free loans for states. Interest-free 50-year loans. 23-24, 17.98 lakh crores, which is again 2.42 lakhs crore more from the previous year. 24-25, 22.91 lakh crores, 4.93 lakh crores more. And this year, the budget which is before us, 25.01 lakh crores, which is 2.1 lakh crores more than the previous year. So the amounts going to the states have not come down at all. Sir, I will seek your indulgence, sir. I want to highlight the thought and the philosophy behind our government's budget-making processes, and also how in the last 5-6 years, we have set clearly some practices which are, I would think, very important from the point of view of fiscal management. So allow me to just go through some of the points. It's been a conscious policy choice because it's part of our governance priorities, its commitment to fiscal discipline, So India's development story actually presents a stark tale of two opposite approach to budget making and also for fiscal prudence. So global financial crisis of 2008, once in a century 2020 COVID pandemic. But what happened after 2008 led us to become a fragile five country. Whereas what is now happening is that you see we continue to remain the fastest growing economy. I want to highlight some of the very critical steps that we have taken in the fiscal prudence approach and also in budget making. So under this government, sir, India transited from the league of fragile five to become one of the top five economies of the world. 2021, sir, we had the devastating pandemic. Union budgeting reveals recurrent themes of transparency. Since that year, you will find our themes which are recurring are transparency in the budget making and also credibility of budget making, reforms to catalyze growth, targeted social security,